Alright, so we got a busy day in the world of Georgia athletics. A bunch of stuff dropped today, but we'll start with the important ones first. I got to pull it up, pulling up all the stuff I need so we could get going. Number one, legendary Georgia tennis player Lilly Kimbell died yesterday or 2 days ago at 31 years old. That's extremely young, man. She was a great player for Jeff Wallace. She was a wonderful person. She was a great Georgia tennis player. She made the NCAA quarterfinals like I think 3 times. She was on one of the teams that won the SEC championship for Georgia. It's really sad, man. I mean, I was talking about this to somebody before I started recording. When you think of Georgia tennis, she is one of those people you think about. You think about Dan McGill, Jeff Wallace, and then you think about the players. Okay, well, who's one of the players? Lilly's right there, and it's just really heartbreaking. 31 years old. That is very, very sad. I knew nobody was probably not many people was probably going to talk about it, but as a Georgia tennis fan, man, it's really sad. I just want to shed some attention on it because Lilly was a wonderful human being. She deserves to be remembered like a wonderful person. The thoughts and prayers go out to her family as well. That's a really, really sad, sad thing. Some of the other things I want to talk about is it is softball season. It is here. Georgia opens up versus number 18 UCF, so already a early season test. We could see what Georgia is made of. Georgia coming off, 2021 was the season we got to Omaha. We took sort of a step back last year. Now I want to see what we could do again, and you know what, the schedule looked really good for Georgia. UCF and Ohio State might be the teams you got to do better against. Tony Baldwin, in my opinion, is a great head coach. He is really doing good at Georgia right now. He's been at Georgia for a few years, but he just took over the head coaching job a few years ago. Softball ain't gonna get taught much about. So I got to say something. I love Georgia softball. We streamed a lot of Georgia softball games last year. Those were fun games. I actually enjoyed doing those. But yeah, Georgia and UCF, you could watch the game on ESPN Plus. 6 o'clock, first pitch in Orlando, a part of the Golden Black Classic for UCF. Georgia will also play Ohio State, Boise State, and UMass. Not in that exact order, but they will also play those teams in that tournament. Another big thing, at least it's big in my opinion. I just want to make sure I'm getting the years right. 23rd class of SEC legends. Former Georgia player Rod Cole was on the list. Former basketball player from 1987 and 1991. He was the University of Georgia's representing the Southeastern Conference legend for the basketball class of 2023. Cole was one of the players to lead Georgia to our 1990 championship. That is probably the highest it gets for Georgia basketball. It was one of the program defining moments. In all honesty, I mean, the teams they beat LSU, they beat Tennessee, teams at that time you didn't think Georgia was supposed to beat. They did. They started out 3-3 in conference play. They went on to win like their next 10 or 11 games. They didn't win the tournament, but they did win the regular season championship. Coach Hugh Durham was on that team. Rod Cole. What was his first name? His name Neville Armstrong or something like that. Let me see. 1990 UGA football basketball. I mean, this team was full of a bunch of great players who deserve to be remembered just like a Herschel Walker would, or Stetson Bennett. I hate to say it like that, but I mean it's true. They deserve to be remembered like those guys did. Alec Kessler, Lanceville Green. Alec Kessler unfortunately died a few years ago, but he is one of the best players of all time as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, here's the full Neville Austin. It was Neville Austin, Rod Cole, Jody Patton, Devin Witt, Lamar Howard. Yeah, so this was old. This is from 1990. The coach, of course, was Hugh Durham. We made it. We lost. We made the NCAA tournament. We lost in the first round to Texas, but they still made it. So yeah, Rod Cole's one of the best players to ever play for Georgia. There's a long list of players to play basketball for Georgia, but he is one of the best to do it. And just one more thing. Well, first off, I do want to say this too. AJ Green is retiring from NFL football. 18 years in the league. That sure is a long time. But I just want to throw that out there too. But the main thing we're going to talk about is, which there is no Wikipedia on this. I believe there's not. No, there's not. So I'm going to have to try my best with this. Saturday and Sunday at the games, Georgia men's team is playing Kentucky. Lady Dogs are playing Florida. We will remember our 1983 Final Four teams. This is, I said it to somebody, we get to celebrate a real championship. And what I mean by that is something you've never seen before, something accomplished, something that felt like a championship. Of course, making the Final Four is a huge deal. It's not a huge deal to everybody because, not everybody is a Georgia basketball fan, unfortunately. But we get to celebrate something that is just full of a team's full of wonderful men and women. Sorry, I'm actually I'm doing two things at once. I'm kind of typing in something too. I was trying to find a list of the players or something. Unfortunately, I could not as of right now. Yeah, that's gone. I cannot find that. But yeah, this was like so rare in the NCAA. This record held up to like 1998 or 1999, one of those 2 years. I'm doing that based off of muscle memory. I mean, it was on there for like it held for a long time. The University of Georgia became the first school to have its men and women's program make the Final Four until 1999 at Duke. So yeah, Duke did it in '99. Well, Georgia actually played Duke in that '99 Final Four. But anyway, before I'm saying, the members of the 1983 men's team will be honored against Kentucky. The team will be led by Hugh Durham, Fern Fleming, James Bank, Terry Fair. The Bulldogs' run came the year after they lost superstar forward Dominique Wilkins to the NBA. A lot of people do not know that Dominique Wilkins actually left Georgia or after that, before that run happened, Dominique Wilkins was not even on the team. And that's what shocks a lot of people. I'm sitting there saying, like, they'll say something like, well, yeah, Dominique Wilkins, I was a Georgia fan when Dominique Wilkins led Georgia to the Final Four. I'm sitting there saying, like, no. You might have been a fan, but he wasn't on those teams. I have Wikipedia pulled up right here, yeah. Georgia played awesome this entire season. I mean, looking at the schedule, they started out 1, 2, 3. They started out 9-0. I mean, they beat some unusual trips too for this time in 1982 and 83. They went to Texas. They went to Augusta, and then they also went to the Martin Luther King Arena in Savannah, Georgia, which is now I believe the Savannah Civic Center. Only a few losses, man. This team was really special. They beat VCU in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Then they went on to beat St. John's. They went on to beat North Carolina, and then they unfortunately lost in Albuquerque in the Final Four. They unfortunately lost to NC State. The legendary Jimmy Valvino was their coach, and I think that's just a team of destiny, to be honest. Jimmy Valvino is just one of the greatest people in college basketball. When you see the video of him, of the North Carolina State player catching the rebound and dugging it home, and Velveeta just runs onto the court. I mean, that is just a wonderful moment. You don't forget. You kind of. I hate North Carolina State because of that, but I love Jimmy Valvino. I mean, he is just, may his soul rest in peace. He was a great man. It's a shame that had to be Georgia on that foot. But anyway, and then on Sunday, the halftime of against the Florida game, the 1983 women's basketball team, Final Four team, will be remembered. My man Andy Landers, and then Janet Harris, Teresa Edwards, and Lisa O'Connor. All those players are, in my opinion, on the Mount Rushmore of Georgia women's basketball. So is Andy Landers. Georgia went 21-6 before they won the SEC tournament. They knocked off Tennessee in the regional, advanced to the Final Four, and once again lost to a team of destiny, the USC Trojans. In my humble opinion, and I just want to make sure I got her years correct. Yeah. In my opinion, Janet Harris is like one of the greatest players to ever play, just not for Georgia women's basketball, but overall in athletics. The mark she left on the university is, I mean, it's still to this day is unimaginable. I mean, it's program changing, and in my opinion, Janet Harris did change Georgia's program. Andy Landers did too. Andy Landers is a wonderful human being. I love Andy Landers. You can't have a conversation of talking about greatest people to ever play at the University of Georgia without Andy Landers and without talking about Janet Harris, because they're right up there. Janet Harris was one of the greatest players to ever play at Georgia, and Andy Landers was one of the greatest coaches to ever coach at Georgia. Andy Landers does not get enough credit for what he did, unfortunately, because of the football team overshadowing the team. Neither all of these people I'm naming, Alec Kessler, Janet Harris, Hugh Durham, none of these guys never got the full, I won't say, they never got the full attention. They never got the attention they deserved because of the football program. That's a story I'm not ready. We can talk about that another day. But that's the sad truth. They never got the attention they deserved because of the football team. And I'm sorry, but that's just, in my opinion, it's true. The Georgia basketball teams could make the Final Four again this year, and they wouldn't care because Kirby Smart didn't tell them to care, or they're too busy with what Curry's eating for breakfast, the usual. But yeah, so softball season starts today, and we will be remembering was one of the best classes of basketball teams to ever play at the University of Georgia. I'm actually very excited for this. This will be very good. Hopefully, Georgia could celebrate these wonderful men and women with a win over Kentucky and Florida. But other than that, I got nothing. So let's go Dogs. Let's beat Central Florida tonight first, because that would be a good way to start the season.
The improbable, the unthinkable, the unbelievable. They beat Arkansas and go wire to win the SEC tournament.